Yes, we got Chris A with us today. We're gonna be talking about Paolo Banchero and just his ceiling and how good the Magic can be next season and going forward. Chris, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Ready to get into this. I'm excited about Paolo, so ready to get into this.
So Magic lost in 7 games in the playoffs to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They was the fifth seed. Uh Coming into this year, places like ESPN, even NBA.com got them seventh and eighth in the Eastern Conference. I think they're gonna be better than that. They got
Oh
teams
yeah.
like the Pacers over them, Cleveland over them. First off, just give me your overall impressions on Paolo Banchero and his place in the league right now.
I got a real hot take about Paolo, but I think Paolo is he's gonna prove himself to be, all NBA first team this year. That's my hot take, bold prediction for this season. Paolo Banchero is gonna be all NBA first team. Um, I think he's one of the premier young talents in the league, and he's often overlooked. And it's partially due to because the NBA doesn't promote him, that doesn't get him involved in these marquee matchups and get him on national TV. But he can do it all. What seven near 7 foot 6'10", 250, around 250 guy dribble the ball up the court, get any shot he wants, along with facilitating for the team. There's nobody that does. There's not many guys that can do that, and he does that. And people may say, "Oh, he doesn't shoot the best," whatever, whatever. His spacing was not elite in Orlando compared to some of the other guys in the league. So I think that'll only continue to go up, especially with the additions that the Magic have made.
Yeah. Um, the one thing that you said that really stands out to me is the playmaking. We seen a lot of guys, especially guys that's around the 6'10", 6'8" to 6'11" type of range, where it takes time for their playmaking to get to that level, especially when they an elite talent. Like Giannis, it took him some time to learn how to play make. Kevin Durant, it took him some time to learn how to play make. Carmelo didn't get his playmaking until damn near the end of his career. So for Paolo to come in and be 21 years old, already to have he came in with the playmaking ability. I think me personally, the most impressive thing about Paolo is just his road to the NBA from start to finish, and just that alone. Because he was at Duke, Coach K's last year. He was a second ranked player to Chet Holmgren, and he had an argument for best player in the country. He led that Duke team to a Final Four, and I think the only NBA talent he had on his team that actually got some playing time was AJ Griffin. He's already out the league
Yeah,
just because he you know
yeah.
uh so I just think people don't understand how good of a prospect he is. I thought he was one of the most polished prospects since LeBron coming out. So to see him have this much early success, rookie of the year, then bounce back and be all star, and then game seven. Did you see that game seven against Cleveland? 21, 24 points at halftime. Um, he had 3 30-point games. He
Mhm.
averaged 27, like 8 and 5 on 45, 40, and 76 from free throw line. All right, bro, playoff
Dude,
rob.
yeah. His first playoff series against a Cleveland team that's known for their defense. Yes, of course they face some injuries, but that's still a good defensive team over there. And he had Franz Wagner who didn't step up in the moment in the playoffs. Powell tried to put that team on his back and carry them to the second round, and that should be noted. Yeah, playoff riser.
So I do you think they go be better than the Pacers?
I
Think
do
you?
think they'll be better than the Pacers for sure. I'm not even That's not even like a big question for me. I think the Magic will definitely be better than Pacers. I really like the additions they made, and I think Paolo, the ascension that he'll take this season, it's going to catch a lot of people off notice. Like he's going to ascend and get better exponentially, bro.
The only reason why, because you did say your hot take was him getting first team all NBA. The only reason why I think he's not gonna make first team is just because it's positionless now. So, because if I had to say, because I'm gonna be like Luca Shea. I'm trying to think who's other locks. Oh, Giannis, Jokic, probably Ant probably will slide into there.
Okay.
Um, Second team, I can see second team,
All right.
but I can see his stats going up exponentially. He did run out of gas in game 7. I remember he was calling for a timeout because he's tired. So his conditioning can get better.
Yeah.
I think he started settling for some late threes. I thought because I watched game 7 earlier this morning
Okay.
just for like a little primer. I
Yeah.
thought dang, what's the small forward for Cleveland? I thought he did a pretty good job on Paolo because
Okoro?
Paolo,
Isaac
Okoro,
Okoro?
Okoro was doing Okoro gave Paolo some trouble in the second half because he had 24 in the first half, then he ended up with like 14 in that second half, which still good, but he slowed him down a little bit. He ended up shooting only like 38% just because Okoro bodied him up and used his size. So I think the next what will be the next step for Paolo in his game that will get him to that next level? Because I think you said first team All NBA is a hot take. I think eventually he could be an MVP candidate
Oh,
just
for sure.
because
Yeah.
that size and like you said the playmaking. He's only 21 years old,
Yeah.
so second second year game 7 with Donovan Mitchell. And it took a Herculean effort from Donovan Mitchell in that second half. I
Mm-hmm.
think he had like 20 plus points in that second half in the
Yeah.
game 7. So
Yeah.
we know what Donovan Mitchell can do in the playoffs. And it took all of that to beat Paolo pretty much by himself
Yeah.
because Suggs and Franz was no shows.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What I think he has to do to get to that first team level. Personally, I think the Magic will have enough wins this season. I think they may finish top 4. They were borderline top 4 this last season with a little downward spiral towards the end. So I think they can actually push through, grow together as a team, and get that top 4 spot. And then I think Paolo will improve his scoring. I think he'll also have his assist numbers will go up just by the teammates that are around him. And I think he'll look better on defense as well this season. So that's just me personally. I think Paolo improves in those specific areas. Outside shot as well.
I know you go look at me a certain type of way, but does Paolo have a better season next year than Victor Wembanyama?
I am looking at you kind of way for that because I'm surprised. I think impact wise, as far as leading the team, as far as getting the team many meaningful wins, things like that. I think Paolo will get Wimby on those. Sheer numbers, he may not. Wimby may be in DPOY conversations this year. Wimby will have Chris Paul as his facilitator, so he'll get a bunch of easy buckets, easy baskets, around the rim, stuff like that. He's gonna just be lobbing it up to him. So I think in many ways, Wimby will have more numbers due to volume, amount of shots that he'll get, and things like that. But as far as impacting team success, I don't know if I've seen that from Wimby just yet to be able to say that he'll have just a better season than Paolo.
Would it be crazy to say Paolo has higher upside than Anthony Edwards and John Moran?
That's not crazy at all. Maybe you may say that for Ant, but definitely Ja. Like we've already seen Ja miss a lot of games for various reasons, whether it be injury, whether it be suspension, things like that. When you're off the court, how much are you really gonna ascend when you're constantly missing games? You're not to me, I see it as if you're missing games, you're limiting your potential. That doesn't work for everybody, but most of the time that's how I see it. So I mean, I see Ja, he's about to tap his ceiling as far as the type of player he can be, just because of the amount of games he missed, and he's still an injury risk. Anthony Edwards is a little bit different story. We'll see how he looks as the main main scoring option without a cat next to him now. He'll have Julius Randle, but he doesn't space the floor necessarily the same as Cat. So we'll see how Ant looks, being the main focal point and continue going forward. I just think Anthony Edwards' ascension will come from him showing playoff success. And so we've seen him try to do that and didn't go as planned, but he's still had some success. But whereas Paolo, I think now that he'll have a team around him, I think he could. There is a chance he could get to that second round and potentially fight for that Eastern Conference final spot.
Okay. Now, I do got some concerns for the Magic because we touched on it a little bit earlier. I think I think they can get like I'm trying to I don't want to cap them, but I think it's possible 50 wins for sure. The only thing that makes me nervous is that second and third guy because it's Franz Wagner and then it's Jalen Suggs. Uh Franz Wagner is so much better than what he shown last year. Just because, especially going off what he does for Germany in the Olympics. I don't. I think sometimes these dudes be gassing themselves out just because a lot of his shots in that game 7 just were short. Those were Franz shots. It just he was just coming up short. Like maybe some of the off season extra play from Germany affects him going later into the season. But I think that's the only thing that could stop the Magic. I think the defense will be there. I think you got potentially Jet Howard, Anthony Black potentially could have bigger roles this season with no Markel Fultz, with no Joe Ingles. So I'm expecting them guys to get more minutes. I think the only thing that can hold Paolo back this year is his teammates not coming with him in terms of leveling up. Because we just seen Paolo get better and better every year. I did see them new pictures of Jalen Suggs.
Oh yeah,
That boy look big as hell. So
yeah,
I want to see his development.
yeah.
But if the Magic do have a disappointing season, what do you think attribute to that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that aspect. I'm also, I think Franz will have a good bounce back season this year. So I may be putting a lot of stock into that. So if Franz has not another down year, but a down year towards the end of the season, that could be a downfall for the Magic. And then you like you said, the guys around them need to get better. I think Anthony Black will be better this season. I think he'll be a plus defender, plus 3-and-D guy. Will also be able to facilitate and take the ball out of Franz's hands, set things easy up for Paolo. And then they added Kentavious Caldwell Pope. So I think adding him,
I think
solid.
that's very overrated.
You
I'm
think that's
sorry, Chris. I'm
overrated?
have to
He's a
stop you there.
solid
I think
shooter,
that's an
man.
overrated pickup just because it's like, man, I ain't gonna stunt. I would rather have like somebody like Zach Levine. I want somebody that can do something
What I think the
himself.
Magic, yeah, I agree with that. But I think the Magic still have potential to get a guy like that. And so if they make a move like that in this season, that can really elevate their stock. Let's say Paolo Banchero come out, he looking great, Magic off to a great start. Front office like, man, we really need to make sure we take advantage of this and get a guy around him. You make a trade for Zach Levine, or you make a trade for a guy that can, get his own shot more than, a better scorer than Jalen Suggs. You love his defense, but I'd want Jalen Suggs to be a better scorer, get off the dribble himself. So
I think just because just for Paolo because I did we touch on him? Do you think he could be the best player on a championship team? Like you could build a championship team around him?
yeah, I think he can. I think he's
Okay.
one of those, tier 1 guys that can be, the guy. So
Okay. Yeah, so we established that. And now it just got me thinking about team building because I do like Suggs and I do like Franz, but I don't necessarily think I like them as a 2 and a 3 in terms of scoring options. If
I'm
you could
honestly,
bump,
yeah, I'm honestly fine with Franz as your 2, but I'm not the coolest with Suggs is 3.
are
Yeah.
you really fine with Franz as your 2? I think Franz was like 18. I think he was about 19 points a game in the playoffs, but I think he shot like 40%, 26% from three. Uh, like
I don't think that's going to be him. I think he's a year above Paolo. Came in the class right before Paolo. So
Do you trust Franz as a second option more than Jalen Williams for the Thunder?
well, that's a little different. We've seen Jalen Williams. He
Is
didn't have,
it?
he's a little bit better player than Franz, but he doesn't also have the same role that Franz does. Franz is bringing the ball up the court way more than Jalen Williams does. Franz is initiating the offense a little bit more than Jalen Williams does. Not saying that he can't, not saying that he doesn't. I just say Franz has more of that responsibility on his plate.
Okay. Before we get out of here,
all right,
how is the Magic season going to end up this year? Like, where will they finish? How is it going to go?
The Orlando Magic will finish a top 4 seed in the East. You can book that, take it to the bank. That's where they're going to finish top 4 seed in the East. And I think, Paolo has an all-star season. Franz has an all-star season. You can tell I'm pretty high on the Magic just because I think their guys are going to get better. I think they have a lot of young talent over there, and I think they'll get better. I think they get past the first round, and I get a dogfight into the second round. I think the East is a little stacked for them to make an Eastern Conference Finals, but, people didn't have the Pacers making the Eastern Conference Finals last year either, so who knows?
If they see the Cleveland Cavaliers again in a 4-5 situation, who wins that series this time?
Magic will beat them in about 6 games. I'm not the fondest of what I'm seeing. Like Cleveland, I think they kind of move laterally, and I don't think their goals are really, for them as an organization has risen. So,
okay, we pretty much touched on everything. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, you're not crazy for bringing Wemby into the conversation. I just think a lot of people downplay the potential, the ability that Paolo has, and I think a lot more people kind of need to be in tap to that. He's in his second season. He's going into his third season, and so I just think for me, a lot of these are my predictions, evaluations on him is him taking that jump that a lot of guys don't take. So I think he's going to take a bigger jump than a lot of guys may take in their third season, just because of the type of guy I think he is.
I did want to say this.
Okay.
What top echelon team in the East do you think Orlando could knock off potentially between Milwaukee, Philly, Boston, and New York?
Dang. Are they all healthy?
Yeah, just assuming no injuries.
Okay. I think, for one, I think they could get I think they could get the Bucks. If I'm being honest with you, that's the team they could get.
That's the one that was popped off in my brain too.
Yeah, they can get the Bucks. They have the guards. They have the perimeter defense to deal with the guard Damian Lillard, and Giannis. They have defenders that can not handle Giannis, but slow him down. They have Jonathan Isaac, who's a great defender. They have lots of guys that I think they have bigger bodies that can match up with Giannis and take the pressure off. Paolo maybe have to do some of that, and so I just think on that aspect they have a good chance against the Bucks, and that would be their path to a Eastern Conference Finals, matching up with them in the second round.
My boy Chris, thanks for joining me, man. This was a good segment. And I do think Paolo eventually will get an MVP in his career. I'm sorry. I do. I think him and Anthony Edwards, out of the guys that's 23 and under, I think those will be 2 MVP guys.
Does he get one before Wemby?
No, just because everybody loves to ride Wemby. So no. Wemby go get an MVP on a 6 seed, 7 seed, man. It's gonna be disgusting.
Man.
But all right, man. I appreciate you joining me, man. This was a good segment.
Oh, for sure.
Found some shit I love to do, so I can live comfortable. Searching for a peace of mind, need that when it's time to rhyme. Perfect in every line, any chance I get, and I know it takes time, but I will never quit.